Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Learner's Algorithm, where we explore the exciting world of Python programming and many other things. So, are you ready to unlock the secrets of image processing in Python? Right. So, we'll be just discussing about all the set of the techniques which are used for the image processing in Python and some other set of the libraries. And meanwhile, we'll be covering what exactly the set of the techniques which we'll be implementing. I'll be just showing you the course and a presentation just to understand each and everything in much more better way. So stick around till the end to have a basic understanding with the implementation. Right. So coming forward, we all know about the basic things about the image processing, but I just want to tell you that what exactly the set of the libraries which we use for the image processing. So we do use that is Pillow library for the basic image processing task. We use OpenCV, a library which is highly efficient for the real-time image processing. Meanwhile, Scikit is also used for the different set of the functionalities, eventually for the advanced image processing functionalities. And when we talk about the matplotlib, so of course like it's a data form of visualization right into the manipulating the images and all, and pytorch is also used. So data image processing can be used with any set of the respective libraries which are shown over here. Basically we use these set of the libraries over here. Moving further, when I talk about, so of course like we can just completely and install all these libraries if we are just using the Colab or the Jupyter Notebook. Simply by with pip install Pillow or pip install OpenCV or pip install Scikit image. Let's come up about the common task and what exactly the techniques. So I try to define each and every techniques in a much more easier way to understand what exactly we can apply over here. So when we talk about the image pre-processing, so image pre-processing is a technique just to uh, find out the dimension of the image. For example, we want to resize the image, we want to increase or decrease the pixels, right? So this is what we are doing in the into the image processing. Meanwhile, coming forward about the enhancement is all about adjusting the contrast, adjusting the brightness, edge detection, color correction. I'll be showing each and everything over there with the codes also to understand how exactly we'll be applying all these techniques with the codes and the output also. Now this is the transformation technique where we'll be flipping, cropping, affine transformation or somehow to correct the distortions which are over there with the respective image. So in the image transformation, it involves whatever the manipulating set of shapes are over there, we can just transform all those things with the help of this technique. Now coming forward about the segmentation part. So segmentation is all about what exactly the set of the partition which we want to change, right? So for example, we want to just change something in the background, right? Or we want to do something into masking, right? So over here, like threshold plays a lot of it plays a different set of the importance, which helps in converting the image into the binary, basically black and white, right? So these are the techniques which we use into image segmentation. Now about the object detection and recognition. So we use the technique that is called template matching, where we detect the object using predefined templates. Feature matching, we use to descript like SIFT, SIFT, ORB, all these set of like objection recognition, and of course deep learning, which is very common in in the terms of the CNN based methods which are over there, and facial recognition. So over here, like it's all about like we can detect the face also, we can recognize the face also while using OpenCV or any other set of the deep learning models. Another technique when I talk about the feature extraction. So in the feature extraction, it's all about like what exactly the edge, texture, or the key point or the color features where we can analyze and recognize with the help of the image, right? So these features, like in the terms of detect the age or do any such set of the changes in the texture or the key point, we use this technique. So these are the basic techniques. When I talk about like, of course, like if there is an image, right, which has a different set of the size. So what we can do, like we can just compress that image, which helps us into the storage, right, or into transformation. So loosey compression, looseless compression, and transform based compression are used. And these are the formats like JPEG, WEP, PNG, TIFF. These are the sort of extensions for which the file is stored just to compress the file. And in the image reconstruction, the image is rebuilt or restore image with set of noisy, like if the image is like incomplete or noisy, so we just reconstruct that set of the image with the help of inpainting, denoising, deblurring. When I talk about inpainting, so it fill the missing regions or remove unwanted objects. When I talk about denoising, so non-local means like Gaussian filtering or deep learning basic methods are used over here. In deblurring, we try to recover the blurred, whatever the blurred images, to come up into the normal pictures, right? So we use like motion deconvolution, we use winner filtering just to deblur the image. And apart from these, like there are some other techniques which we use as per the requirement. That is image classification, image generation, motion and video analysis. These are basically used to analyze the frames or detect a movement in the videos, right? 3D image processing, like of course, which used to help us analyze the 3D image data. Image filtering, again, like it helps to enhance the image feature using filter. And image analysis, which gives analysis of quantitative information into the image. So what exactly these are, like I talked about, these are the basic techniques which we use for the image processing. Now coming forward, like I'll just tell you like what exactly the framework, how exactly we'll be working and what exactly the set of the codes for which we'll be playing. So of course we can use Jupyter Notebook, we can use Colab. I'll be just helping you out to work the framework which I'll be using, that is Google Colab. And one thing is very important, like before proceeding with the codes, like we do need to install the libraries which are very important over here, and we'll be installing the OpenCV. When I talk about the OpenCV, so of course like it's a source computer vision library which helps to provide all the set of the comprehensive set of tools for the computer vision and image processing tasks. So I'll be helping you to understand each and everything with the help of the codes. For example, this is a window of my Colab. I'll be just installing pip install OpenCV Python headless. And meanwhile, I'll be importing the other libraries like NumPy, Matplotlib, right? Just for the set of the better configuration. I have already taken a picture that is dog.jpg and I have uploaded over here. And let's do all the set of the codes and the implementation and the techniques with this set of the image. So first and foremost, like I'll be just loading and read the image, what exactly the image is over there for which we are going to implement. So first and foremost, like we are going to load and read the image. I'll be just like I have already written the codes which are over here. I'll be running with you over here just to understand how exactly it display the image. So this is a code basically to display the image over here in the Colab. Now you need to understand, like for example, I'm just running the code into Colab. So it's a difference that I'll be just using CV2 underscore I'm so, right, to display the image into Colab. But when I'll be just using the same framework in Jupyter Notebook, so I'll be just using the function that is cv2 dot I'm show, because this function opens a separate GUI window to display the image, right? Whereas cv2 underscore imshow, it shows a function that allow you to display image within the notebook. So whenever I'll be using within the Colab notebook, I'll be using the function that is cv2 underscore read image path, right? So this is what I tried to figure it out, and I just displayed over here that instead of using the cv2 dot read, you will be using cv2 underscore imso. So this is what exactly the output we got. Like, this was a picture which I have uploaded over here. Now we need to check the dimension of the image, right? It's very important to understand what exactly the set of the dimension of the image. Over here, like, of course, when we talk about the image dimensions, so it's like width, it's about height, it's about the channel. When I define the width, so width define the columns, right? Height define the rows, and channel are basically the colors, right? Channel refers over here, that is basically the specific component of the image that represent one of the color or intensity values for each pixel, right? So over here, like if I talk about the color, so the color which is going to be defined over here, like of course it's blue, green, red, and BGR, like which has three channels which define like the BGR. So let's run this code, and it will be showing the width. As I told you, the width defines the column, the height defines the rows, and the channel which is showing three over here, it's showing the blue, green and red color. Meanwhile, let's come up about the resizing the image. So this function like cv2.resize image 300 and 300, like of course the dimension was width and height was 500 and 500. Now I'm just resizing the image into 300 rows and 300 columns. Again, to display the image into Google Colab, we use cv2 underscore I'm show, which is a function especially created to show images in line within the notebook. So let's run this code, and yeah, you can see the change that it was the image which was the original image with 500 pixels, and now this is another image which I have resized over here, and the image is with us. Now coming forward, right, I'm going to apply some other filters, that is Gaussian blur. So what exactly Gaussian blur do? This technique helps to reduce the image noise by averaging the neighboring pixels, right? So I have defined the code, like first of all, I just import the cv2 underscore imso. I just defined from google.colab.patches. I imported the file. Now I'll be just blurring the images, that is cv2 dot Gaussian blur. I gave the size, that is 5.5. Now let me tell you like what exactly these 5.5, it's 5,5. It's basically the kernel size, right? When I talk about the kernel, so it defines the dimension of the filter, right? For example, larger kernels produce more blurring but are computationally heavier. The kernel size refers to the dimension of the matrix, which is again represented by width and height. So in most of the cases, whatever the matrix which we form, that is basically the square matrix, and it must be an odd number. So we can take 3, 5, 7, 9 as the color size. And over here, the sigma, which is over here, it's a standard deviation, and it controls the extent of the blurring. So let me run the code. You'll be able to understand what exactly the blurred image. So you can just see like I shown the image that should be having a kernel size with 5,5, that is basically the width and height, And when I talk about the standard deviation, which is going to define the blurring, so that I define with the help of the sigma, right? So eventually, like of course, Gaussian blur, as I told you, it's a technique to reduce uh, based on the kernel size, and it is somehow like it defines how much exactly the image is blurred, right? So with the help of this, like the image gets smooths, and with the help of this averaging pixels values, whatever the neighbors which are over there surrounded, right, all those set of the neighbors of the image, they appeared more blur, right? Now coming forward about the another technique, that is a median blur. As with the name only, like we can just understand like somewhere somehow like this blur is into a non-linear image filtering technique, and commonly it is used for the noise reduction. So most of the cases like median blur is used as a into a salt and pepper noise, that is white and black pixels, right? We use it into as a median blur. And what exactly median blur is doing, like it replaces the central pixel with the median of surrounding pixel values which are there in the kernel, right? So I just need to define what exactly the kernel size I'm giving, that is a 5, and I'll be just giving the command that is median underscore blurred underscore image to run the command. Now coming forward about the histogram equalization. So this is a command like which helps to convert the image to the grayscale. It enhances the contrast by redistributing the pixel intensities. So when I talk about like the set of the code which is used over here, you can just see like it's cv2 dot convert color, right? So this function is used to convert the image from one color space to another, which I just defined over here. Now, when I talk about the color, that is BGR to gray. So this is a conversion code that tells OpenCV to convert the image from blue, green, red color space to grayscale, right? That is what I define. Now, we need to equalize, right, the histogram. So I just mentioned this command, that is cv2.equalize, right, histogram, and that is a gray image which I just want. So this function will apply the histogram equalization to the grayscale image, right? And before displaying the image, I need to equalize the image. So I just mentioned this command equalized underscore image, and this is the result after applying histogram equalization. So let's see what exactly the result which is coming over here, and it's in front of you, that the result which is applying on the histogram equalization is of course like it's a grayscale which is enhancing the contrast of the original grayscale image, right? So this was the original image, and while applying the histogram equalization, we can easily convert the image to grayscale, right? Now coming forward with the technique that is thresholding. So it's a technique like which convert image into binary black and white, right? So eventually like it has two parts, like when I define, so there is a part like is that is foreground, and there is another part that is the background. So we'll be just applying the thresholding over here, and eventually it is often used for the segmentation. So whatever set of the pixels are over there, we need to classify all those pixels on the behalf of the intensity. So for example, there is a pixel that is greater than the threshold, right? So it will come as a white. And there is a pixel if all the pixels which are less than, right, to the threshold value, so it will just represent black. So let's run, and you can just see like the I define the image over here while giving the threshold binary input. And of there are usually there are three types of thresholding. That is basically the binary thresholding, adaptive thresholding, and Ostos thresholding. So I'm just applying the binary thresholding over here, which converts pixel to either 0 or 255, right? It will be either converting the pixels with either 0 and 255. So what I did over here, I defined the gray mesh, right? And I gave a threshold value. In this case, it is 127, right? And the maximum intensity value, which I just defined over here, is 255, right? So this is a reason, like I defined the threshold value over here, it is between 127 and 255. And we should be knowing this, that if the pixel is greater than 127, so the assigned value of 255, which is like a value of 255, will be always white. So you can see like the most of the area which is over here, it's because of the thresholding which I just given the input over here, it's white only, right? And it's white because all the set of the like intensity value, right? We set a specific intensity value threshold that is basically greater than the threshold into one value. So this is the reason, like we can see a lot of white space over here. Now let's see about the set of the contrast adjustment. So in the case of the contrast adjustment, like alpha and beta, like there are two techniques which is used over here. Alpha define the contrast of the image and beta define the brightness. So let's read the code. Of course, like it's not mandatory to resize the image every time, but I prefer to resize the image so that uh, we can see it on the screen in much more better way. So of course, like I defined the rows and column into 3 by 300 and 300, and I'll be just implementing, I'll be just applying the contrast adjustment with the help of alpha and beta. So alpha is basically 1.5 and beta 50. That is the brightness which controls, like it should be between 0 and 100, right? We need to understand that contrast is something like which get increased by setting the alpha, right? So if it's like 1.5, which I gave over here, it implies that the difference between the dark and the light areas, which is amplifying over here. And when I talk about the brightness, which is over here, it's 50. So again, it's the brightness, like whole of the image, which is over here. It will be like adding like the 50 uh, pixels over here. So let's run this command and see like how exactly the picture will be over here. So yeah, you can just see like alpha function is over here, like which is controlling the contrast of the image, right? And the beta function, like I'll be applying in the another code just to understand the brightness of the image. And beta I applied over here, like that is like the 100 which I gave over here. So one thing is very important, like which we need to understand that if alpha is like, because alpha should be between 1 to 3, right? So if alpha is greater than 1, so image difference between dark and light areas become more pronounced. When I say like becomes more pronounced, so it's like higher contrast. But if the alpha is less than 1.0, the contrast is reduced, right? For example, let's see, like I'm just taking the alpha and I'm just making a changes. It's like alpha is 3 now. So see the contrast, like somehow you will see the contrast got more increase, right? Because it's a higher contrast. So we'll be making it like the change, like we'll be just making it 1.5 just to have a normal set of the contrast. Again, like coming forward when I talk about the brightness, so the more set of the brightness I'll be defining, like the brightness control will get increase, and over here, like you can see the change in the image which got implemented, right? So There's a code, like I just want to tell you, like it's the contrast adjusted, and just see the code cv2 dot convert scale apps. So what exactly this function do? This function ensures that the resulting pixel values which are over there, they are valid. So when I say valid, so they should be within the range of 0 to 255, right? 0 to 255, because as I told you that in thresholding, the binary thresholding converts the pixel that is either 0 or 255, as I defined over here, that it should be between either 0 to 255. Otherwise, like if it will be not into that way, so the pixels will not be valid, right? And image will be invalid then. Now, let's see about the another technique which is over here, that is sharpening. And of course, like sharpening highlights the edge by applying the sharpener kernel. So what exactly over here the sharpening technique will be doing over here? Over here, the kernel which is used, it highlights that central pixel. So you can see like it's an array. So -1, -1, -1. And like see, this is the mid of the array, that is 9, right? So the central value 9 is larger than the surrounding values. When I say about the surrounding values, so these are -1 and -1, which means that it enhances the center pixel, and it subtracts the pixel like from the surrounding pixels, because it's -1 and -1. So it will be subtracting the pixels from the surrounding, right? So I just gave an example of like 3 by 3 matrix, which is over here defining the sharpen of the image. Now let's see like what exactly we are going to run. It's about the edge detection, and this is a technique which is used into image processing to identify the boundaries, right? When I talk about boundaries, so it's about distinguish the reason and the objects, right? So what exactly the set of the boundaries, like the boundaries of different reasons or objects which are over here, which are crucial for the image analysis and object detection. So uh, let's run this command, and you can just see like image is resized with 100 and 200. Over here, the white pixels represent the detected edges, and the black pixel represent non-edges. That is basically the background or the areas with no significant changes in intensity, right? So canny is something like which is used over here, like it's a basically the technique, like which is a function which is applied with the help of the canny edge detection algo, right, to the input image which is over there. And again, like I have defined the threshold, that is 100 and 200. 100 is the low threshold, that is the lower bound for the edge intensity. And it is usually like to determine the weak edges. And 200 is the high threshold, that is basically the upper bound for edge intensity. And what exactly it do, like whatever the set of the pixels between these values are considered weak, they kept only if they are connected to the strong edge. So higher threshold 200 is used for the strong edges, right? Now let's come up for the color set of the correction, and we are going to process the adjusting the image color attributes. So I just written the code, that is cv2.cv2 color, and image is resized. And meanwhile, like I gave HSV color space. Now when I talk about HSV, so it's hue saturation value, that is a color model. And over here like hue defines the color types, and of course like the color types red, blue and green. Saturation, that is S, which indicates the intensity of the color, and V defines the value that refers to the brightness of the color, which is being defined over here, that is hsv dot underscore image, and cv2 dot color hsv to bgr. Now let me explain you like this code in the terms of cv2 dot cv2 color. As with the code only, like you can understand that this code helps to convert the input image from one color space to another. Now coming forward to this code, that's cv2.color underscore bgr to hsv. So we all know that this is the image like from the bgr color space, because in the OpenCV like we use the same color, and it's going to use the hsv color space, right? And resulting image is going to come in the hsv color space, where the channel represents hue, saturation, and value. Right. So let's run this code just to understand and what exactly the set of the factors are over here. You can just see like I defined 1.5, that is to increase the saturation. And this is not basically just to defined as a 1.5. It's just like whatever the set of the hsv image is there, that is the axis of the channel, second channel saturation, that will be multiplied with a factor of 1.5, and this makes the color of the image more vibrant, which you can just see, right? You can see the certain changes which are over here with the help of these codes. Now coming to the image transformation techniques, when I talk about the transformation, so we do applying rotation, we do apply flipping, we do apply cropping, and many other techniques. So let's see about this transformation technique, where we are going to rotate the image, right? So what we do, we define an angle, right? An angle of rotation. And let's see, let's read the code first to understand what exactly we are going to implement. So we define the rows and columns over here, right? And just to understand, like this retrieves the dimension of the image. Over here again, row is the height, right? And cols is the width, right? When I say like, of course, like I define the same thing over here, that is the row and the column. And this is the function like which is going to help us to transform the matrix, right? And the center point of the image around which the rotation will occur, that will be defined with the help of angle that I defined, that is angle 45, right? So of course the angle of rotation, that is like the scaling factor. If it is 1, that means there is no scaling, right? Over here, like as I defined the angle scaling, which is 1. And the rotation matters again, like it's a specify what exactly the transformation over here will be there. So let's run it and let's see like whether the output comes. So yeah, you can just see it display the rotated image which is over here, and it is just rotating the input image, which is resized and by 45-degree counterclockwise, right? Now let's see about the flipping part, and this is the flipping code over here. So flip code always determines the axis along which the image will be flipped. So we can just give three parameters over here, that is 1, 0, and -1. 1, flip the image horizontally from eventually from left right mirror. 0, flip the vertically, that is up down mirror. And -1, flip the image both horizontally and vertically, basically the 180-degree rotation. So what we did over here, like we are going to flip the image horizontally, and this is the code like I just defined over here, right? Image underscore resize, and of course like flip underscore code is equal to 1. So we are going to flip the image horizontally, right? So you can just see. Now, if you want the change over here, we just need to change the flip, right? And what we have to do, we just have to change the code that is uh, 0 we have to give if we want to the flip the image into vertical. So I just define flip underscore code is equal to 0. Right, you can just see like, yeah, it's somewhere somehow like the image has been vertically flipped. Now if you want to just see like whether the image get flipped with horizontally and vertically both, so we just need to define -1, right? So you can just see like somewhere somehow like it vertically and horizontally it got flipped, right? Let's move further in the terms of the last technique which is over there, right? So this is about the cropping technique, and of course, like we all know about the basic things about the cropping. There's one thing I just want to tell you, like over here, if I just forgot to explain you. So CV2 flip like image, like I defined the flip underscore code. This is what exactly flip underscore code defines, which is based on the performance to transform the image, right? Coming forward about the cropping part, and with cropping, like we need to define a start row, we need to define a start column, end of the row, and end of the column, right? So the row, what exactly the row index over here? Like it's basically the uh, place where the cropping need to start, right? The start column basically over here like start underscore column, which is defining the index where the cropping starts, right? In the row is like basically the row index where the cropping ends, and in the column, in the underscore column, which defines where the cropping is going to end. It's basically the column where the cropping is going to end. So I just redefine it's like image start underscore row, right? And then ending it with the row, and then starting with a column and ending with the column, right? So this is basically start underscore row, right? It is specify the vertical ranges which are over there in the row, and over here like in the terms of the column, like it's defining the horizontal ranges which are over there in the column. So what I did, like I just gave like start row is equal to 50, and end row which is over there, that is basically 250. So what exactly it will be doing, it will be cropping the image from 50th to the 249th row, right? And in this case, like which is over there the 50 and the int column is 250, so the crop will start from 50th to the 249th column, right? So let's run it. Let's run this code, and you can just see like the certain changes which are over here. So this is all about the basic techniques which we need, like which we apply over here for the image processing. I hope like you got an idea like about what exactly the set of the scenarios and what exactly the set of the techniques which we do apply over here for the image processing. So let's summarize each and everything in a quick format to understand each and everything in much more better way. Right. So as I already defined, like of course, like for the open source computer vision library, like it's a set of tools which is used for the computer vision and image processing. Let's come forward like the set of the techniques which we applied. So yeah, this is like how exactly we load and read the image, and with the help of CV2 underscore IMSO, like we displayed the image in notebook, right? That is the Colab notebook. Now it's basically just to check the dimension of the image. So uh, width, height, and like they defines about the column and row, and the channel defines the basically the color which is over there, and the some way somehow like it's basically the intensity or the values like for each of the pixel. So over here, like if the three channels are there, so it's like it will be defining three colors, that is blue, green, and red. And in the case of the four channels, like there are some sort of the images where uh, in the case of PNG or RGBA, like some formats where the four channels are used, right? So in most of the cases, like we'll be just using the channel which is of three channel only. Now we implemented the resizing of the image, and we on Google Colab, like we defined the image like with different set of the image that it was the 500 into 500. Now like we resize the image with 300 and 300. Now we applied this set of the techniques like Gaussian blur to reduce the image noise by averaging the neighboring pixels. And as I told you, like it's basically it smooths the average pixel values with the neighbors, and that makes the image appear more blurred. Then what we did, like we applied for the median blur. What it did, like median blur is commonly used for the noise reduction, and these are basically median is set up, and with that medium, whatever the surrounding pixels are over there, like they get centralized, like it replaces the central pixel with the medium which we have defined over here. So yeah, like you can just get to know like yeah, the median was defined over there. Now like histogram equalization which we did, and this was basically to it was used for the grayscale enhances, right? For the redistributing the pixels, right? So x-axis of the histogram represent the pixel intensity values, and the y-axis represent the frequency of each intensity value, right, which is over there in the image. And we know like about CV2 color, like it converts the image from one color space to another, and BGR has been already defined with blue, green, red color space to grayscale, which we did in this OpenCV. And at the last, like it equalize like uh, the histogram, that is basically uh, whatever the BGR is there, like of course like it will be equalizing to the grayscale image. Now let's see about the thresholding. Like it's a technique in the image processing that separates an image into two parts, the foreground and the background. It is often used for the segmentation, that is to classify pixels based on intensity. In thresholding, we set a specific intensity value threshold to convert all pixels greater than the threshold into one value. Example, white, and pixels which are below into another, that is black. So these are three types of the thresholding: binary, adapting, and obtuse. And we basically use the binary thresholding, which is between like it's either 0 or 255. So this was all the code like which uh, we run, and I just explained the code also, like what we did, like the input image which was there, and the thresholding, like in the case of the 127, like what should be there, and the maximum intensity which should be there, like in the case of 255, and again the types which are defined over there. And the pixel, if it is greater than 127, are assigned a value of 255, which gives the white color. Pixels which are less than or is equal to 127 are assigned to a value of 0, which is basically the black color. So these are the image enhancement techniques, as I told, like in the terms of enhancement, like we talk about the change in the contrast, change into the brightness, right? And let's see, like alpha over here defines the contrast of the image, beta over here defines the brightness. So if the alpha is greater than 1, so image difference between dark and light area become more pronounced. And if the alpha is less than 1, so the contrast is reduced and the image appears flatter. Beta is again like it ranges from 0 to 100, but in the case if we are just giving it negative, so it's like the brightness will get decrease and the image, like of course, like there will be more darkening in the image. So this is what like contrast is increased by setting alpha 1.5, which is there the code which we gave over here, and brightness is increased by setting the beta like 50, which we defined over here, where the whole image by adding 50 to each pixel's value, it brightens the image. Now the brightness adjustment is the same like the beta which we implemented over here, right, which we defined 100. And yeah, like as I told you, negative beta will always subtract right from the pixel values and which will make the image darker. Now the sharpening, so it highlights the edge by applying the sharpening kernel, and like this is the array which is defined over here: -1, -1, -1, -1, 9, -1, and the third one is like -1, -1, and -1. And when I say so, 9 is basically like this is basically the kernel which is over there, right? So 9 is the midpoint. So in this matrix, like the central value 9 is larger than the surrounding. So surrounding, like you'll see the -1 are there, which is over here enhancing the center pixel while subtracting from the surrounding pixels. Now this is about age detection. And over here, like this technique is used in image processing to identify the boundaries of object in an image. And it helps in redistributing the boundaries of different regions or objects, which is crucial for image analysis. So white pixels, whatever the white pixels are over here, they represent detected images. Black pixels, which are over here, they represent the non-edges, and in the background areas where you can just see like there is no significant change into the intensity, so it's basically the black pixels which are over there, as there are no edges over there which are defined over there. So again, 100 is the low threshold, as I told and showed also there. The lower threshold 100 is just used to determine the weak edges, and 200, that is the high threshold, which is eventually it's the upper bound for edge intensity, and the higher threshold 200 is used for strong edges. So whatever the pixels with gradients between these value they will be considered weak edges, and they are kept only if they are connected to the strong edge. Now about the color correction. So over here, like we increase the saturation, right? And this is a process of adjusting an image color attributes such as hue, saturation, and brightness to achieve the desired visual effect, right? And when I say about HSV, right, so its hue is all about which represents the color type, that is red, blue, and green. And saturation, like it indicates the intensity or the purity of color. A value refers the brightness of the color, right? So whatever the resulting image we'll be getting over here, like it will be somewhere somehow like representing the hue, saturation, and value, right? And yeah, we just multiply it with 1.5 just to increase the saturation, and this makes the color in the image more vibrant. Now about the rotation, like we define the angle, we define the row, and we define the column, and with the rotation, like we'll be just implementing the set of extractions between all those set of the two values, and this function like about rotation matrix 2D, like it's like column and rows, we define like that is 2, and the angle which is over there, that is the angle of rotation. The scaling factor 1 means like there is no scaling. So the matrix this matrix specify the rotation transformation which are over there. Somewhere somehow the size of the output image remains the same as the input image, right? So there is no changes in the size. Only the thing will be there that the image will get rotated by 45 degree, right? This is what I shown over here. Now this is about the flipping, like we did that flipping also, that is horizontal flipping and the vertical flipping which we did. And this flip could get defined with 1, -1, and 0. For the vertical flipping, like we defined with 0, with 1 we flip it horizontally, and with -1 we flip into a both, like it can be vertical or horizontally. So that is basically the left right mirror, up down mirror, and 180-degree rotation. Now by the cropping, like we'll be defining starting row, we'll be defining the ending row, we'll be defining the starting column and ending column, which we defined as 50, comma 50, 250, comma 250. And this is like to crop the set of rows and columns, and whatever the index over here, like that ends with, which starts from the 50 and ends with the 249. Right. So start row and end row, it specify the vertical range that are rows, and the start column and end column that specify the horizontal ranges, which are the columns. So this is all the summary of the implementation part which we did over here. And I'll just say, like, try to implement this with yourself, right? And don't forget to subscribe the channel, like for the most of the contents. And somewhere somehow, if you found this helpful, so hit the like button, share it with your friends who are learning the Python, who are working some research in this sort of the domain. And do let me know your thoughts or whatever the challenges were there, like which you all are facing, in the comments below. And yeah, at last, like, thank you for watching. As always, I just say keep coding and keep growing. And I'm thankful to my guide, my mentor, Dr. Arpit Bharadwaj, for helping me to learn out a complete set of the techniques and complete set of the research which I am doing with Python, right? So until next time, this is Shikhar. Take care. Happy programming. Keep coding. Keep growing. Thank you.